We all want to look our best, especially when it comes to our skin, but is some of that age-old skin care advice just a big hoax, or is it reality? Dermatologist David Myers is here to break it down and help us sort fact from fiction when it comes to popular skin myths. I guarantee some of your answers are going to surprise people.
I hope so.
Yes, they are. Can we dive in?
Let's do it.
This first one is something that I think a lot of people live by and buy their products by. When it comes to sunscreen, the higher SPF, the better the protection and the longer you can stay in the sun. Fact or myth?
That's a myth.
Myth.
So SPF is actually just part of the equation. SPF, or sun protection factor, has to do with the UVB rays, which are in the sun. There's UVA and UVB. So broad spectrum, they kind of changed the new sunscreen labels.
Which
so
I think increased the confusion a little bit because there was so much hype around this new labeling system.
Exactly. So let me break it down.
Please.
Broad spectrum means it has both UVA and UVB. UVA is the rays that give you the tan, but also wrinkles and skin cancer. UVB causes the sunburn. So if I were to give you like summary, Brooke, what to go find when you're in the store, get a broad spectrum. If it's something that you're just going to and from your car, I think 15, 20 is pretty good. But if you're like going to be out, I love 30. And 30 actually will protect you from up to even 97% of the rays from the sun. So that's why you don't need, too high.
So when we read the SPF of 60, 70, I've seen it go as high as 80 before. That's kind of just a gimmick.
It's marketing. It would protect you like 1%, but in all actuality, that's not doing you that much. It's kind of, oh my gosh, I need this Neutrogena 115, when really that's kind of going to go away, and it should be like SPF 50 or above. 30 to 50 is what you should look for.
If we're buying makeup, David, with sunscreen in it, does that cover us for just a regular everyday?
Listen, if you put your makeup on and you look like one of those lifeguards from the 80s, look white like his white nose, that's enough. But for the most part, makeup, it just doesn't have sufficient amount. It only is about 1/14 of what they recommend, so find a sunscreen lotion also. So
how often should we be reapplying, and how much should we be putting on?
Great question. So if it's like the 15 to 20 that you're walking to and from your car, reapply midday. But if you're out in the sun, you need to do it like every 2 hours, because you sweat it off. If you're out swimming, maybe even more. So it does wear off, and that's a huge key, is reapplying, because people put it on and then they're like, I'm good, I put on sunscreen, and then that night, they're starting to get a little bit of red. So reapply.
This next phrase makes me a little bit nervous. Tanning beds can help you avoid sunburn by getting a so-called base tan. True or false?
So that is actually true. It would help protect you, from some of the sun's rays, but don't go running off to the tanning salon. No matter where you get the rays or sun exposure or tanning beds, it's all bad for the skin. So I try to be reasonable, because I love going in the sun. I love to encourage patients to go in the sun, but I see people with skin cancer, and I see people with some wicked sunburns. So listen, don't get sunburned. Tanning salons, I don't necessarily recommend, but if you get a little bit of a color while you're protecting yourself, I do think that's pretty reasonable. It helps you feel good, and it's probably not doing as much harm, but I would rather people do just the minimal instead of like going crazy and getting really dark, which will cause wrinkles and skin cancers down the line, and if you walk around looking like a lobster when you have a bad sunburn, that's not good either.
Yeah, the key is to avoid, the most important thing, avoid the sunburn if you can.
Exactly.
My sister and I were just having this conversation the other day, though. I drive past those tanning booths, those tanning salons, and I have a hard time believing they're still in business with all of the education we have about skin cancer. Does it matter if you get the rays from a tanning bed or if you get them out from the direct sun?
That's a great question. So they did this recent study, and it showed, compared to people who have never tanned indoors, those that had tanned indoors had higher risk of all types of skin cancer. So any type of rays is damaging your skin, and they even have some of these kind of ultra tanning beds that can pump in enough UVA that's more than 12 times you would get normally outside in the sun, and that's in the long term not good.
I told you I watched a 2020 special one time in high school about skin cancer, and it scared me for life. I'm staying as far away from those as I can.
I see young girls who have taken off melanomas, and it kind of scares me. So moderation, mild, be careful, but I'm not so crazy to say, you know, nothing about that.
Sure. All right, this next idea that's out there, to prevent dry skin and wrinkles, drink 8 cups of water a day. I swear I've read about this in magazines. I swear I've heard this as credential recommended advice. What do you say?
Ironically, dry skin is not all about how much moisture that you drink.
Really?
So if I were to say, hey, what is a good amount to drink? As long as you're getting like sufficient moisturizer or sufficient water, I'd say 4 to 8 cups would be kind of a good thing to kind of hold on to.
For your skin?
Well, for everything.
Yeah.
But really, skin, there's people with oily skin and dry skin, and they have about the same moisture in it. So as long as you're not in extreme, as long as you didn't go to the salt flats and you come back dehydrated, that could help by drinking water.
All right.
But for the most part, if you drink sufficient, then it's more to it. You know, there's different moisturizers and things to help your skin.
Okay, we've got time for one more. Warts don't really have roots, and you don't have to get the root out to really treat the wart.
That is true.
They do not really have roots.
Warts do not have roots. So a lot of people come and say, hey, if I pick this off and I pick it off, it will go away. But what you're actually doing, so warts are a virus.
Yeah.
And no one likes them.
This is a great conversation to have.
I know. You're welcome. I do it every day.
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
Okay.
But just weird. But so warts are hard to treat, obviously. That's why we're trying, you know, all different types of treatments. But what we need to do is to get the body to recognize that you have this virus so that you can become immune and get rid of it. And then for the most part, you won't get that strain of wart again. So, so they don't have roots or seeds or anything.
The fact that you love this conversation probably makes you a dang good dermatologist.
It's scary.
All right, well, thank you so much for the advice. And if people want to make an appointment with you or learn more about how to take care of their skin, how can they do that?
So we're at Utah Valley Dermatology. We're right by the Roller Mills in Lehigh, and you can find us at uvderm.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will be right back.